The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service presents Let's Talk Finance, a feature exploring the various elements of the economic program.
Welcome again to Let's Talk Finance here on Nationwide 90 FM. My name is George Davis. It's my distinct pleasure to be sharing the studio this morning with Wayne Jones, OD, JP. He is the Deputy Financial Secretary working out of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. Welcome again, Sir Wayne.
Thank you, George.
Good. All right, public sector transformation for growth and development. It has been gestating for a long period. I remember having a discussion with some of my friends over dinner one evening talking about public sector transformation. And I was telling them, well, it is a peristaltic process. It has to go through the various stages of the alimentary canal. Just think of it like that. It's not something that you snap your finger and happen overnight because you are changing a bureaucracy that existed for decades. I want you to give us an overview of the progress of this transformation.
All right, thanks. So, yes, public sector transformation has been on the books and on the table for a pretty long time. Depending on who you speak to, they will tell you of the days of public sector reform, public sector modernization, public sector transformation. But this round, if you may, of transformation, and we are deliberate in the titling, it is to make significant and fundamental change to the system of government and governance too. We're not talking simply about some administrative tweaking, but we're talking about changing the mindset of the people involved in the process and, of course, the people who use the services, because that's also part of what we must do. We must have acceptance jointly for the need to change and that we do this together. So what we're doing is this time around focusing on the people. We're focusing on the systems and procedures. We want to make sure that we achieve greater efficiency and effectiveness in how we use the resources that we have, not just the money resources, but the people resources that we have. Of course, service delivery is the ultimate improvement in the quality of the service that we deliver to the people. And that service range from the service you get at the tax office, the service you get at the NIS office, as well as the service you get at the company's office if you're a business person, the passport office, the customs, the Ministry of Finance itself, because while the Ministry of Finance is not, especially on the economic management side, one of the frontline entities that the ordinary Joe and Jane interact with, recognize that that's where the policies are framed.
Yes.
And it impacts people's lives. So we are a service delivery point as well. And so we have to look at all the areas of government. We certainly are working through our corporate governance framework. We recently, as you probably and your listeners might know, had a competition that we are engaging with the private sector. Again, partnership, because that's a critical part of what we're doing in transformation. Mm-hmm. And of course, none of this is going to happen without an increase in the productivity of not just labor, but how we use the resources I spoke to earlier. Productivity has got to be a part of the hallmark of what we're doing. At the end of the day, George, the objective is to ensure that people want to do business with the government of Jamaica, and that people must be anywhere. Somebody from Bahrain, somebody from Canada, somebody from Antigua Barbuda, somebody from Jamaica must feel comfortable coming into a government office to do business with us.
Yes. You know, I know we had charted the course that we'd take the interview, but you spoke, based on what you've just said, I want to fast forward a question. It has often been said that in the context of a country such as Jamaica and the way how our public sector has been established and is established and has been so over the years, that one of the obstacles, people see it as an obstacle, one of the obstacles to public sector transformation is the presence of trade unions. I balk at that because I know very well the contribution that the trade union movement has made to the labor tapestry in the country. And I don't see them as an obstacle. But people say that the resistance from there and the pushback that successive administrations, successive ministries involved in the transformation project have encountered, that still looms as a major challenge for the transformation to take place. Is that true?
It's not, and it's a myth that permeates societies globally, where people believe that trade unions are stumbling block and obstacles, and sometimes the trade unions do behave in a manner that could suggest that. But the history of the Jamaican labor market and labor force is one in which trade unions have been very positive. They have been associated with a lot of progress in this country, in particular in the Jamaican public sector. We should recall that it was the trade unions that back in 2002, 2004, thereabout, initiated the talks with the government of Jamaica aimed at having a better understanding and appreciation of the challenges that the government and the country was facing economically. And the long and short of that is that we started the process of the collective bargaining process being a centralized one through the Memorandum of Understanding. And since then, we have had significant progress in the relationship between government and the employees through the trade unions. So, for example, you have a public sector monitoring committee appointed by the cabinet periodically that is constituted by government and the trade unions. And, I often say to people, when people talk about the industrial harmony that's existing in Jamaica now, especially in the public sector, they don't fully appreciate that it is through that tripartite body, that consultative body, that we have been able to keep the lid on things, because there is a written rule in the terms of reference of that monitoring committee that says, listen, before anything escalate in the labor management relationship, let's sit back around the table and work it through. So some of especially the human development policies that the government has been able to pursue has been as a result of working with trade unions. I say to the trade unions from time to time, you are your worst enemy, because you do not record nor do you promote the good work that you do. So the few times that there is some dislocation as a result of a trade union's action, that's what really gets out there, and people need to tell the stories. But the unions are good partners for the government of Jamaica as an employer, and the government at all levels, various cabinets over time, have appreciated the contribution of the trade unions. And the public sector transformation effort, might I just say, is benefiting significantly from that. The Public Sector Transformation Oversight Committee, the PSTOC as we call it, is co-chaired by a well-known trade unionist, Danny Roberts, and has on it other leading trade union officers, Helene Davis-White, president of the JCTU, O'Neill Grant, president of the JCAC and vice president of the JCTU. And so, EPOC, as you pretty well know, has trade union representation on it. And the new council that my minister has been speaking about, Minister Clark has been speaking about, he has indicated that the unions are going to be a part of that process and that representation. So it is true that we are benefiting significantly from cooperation with the unions.
When you look at various systems of government across the world, Wayne Jones, the Westminster style practiced here in Jamaica and other parts of the Caribbean, and even the Republican system, and I flag the systems to say that public sector bureaucracies, and we always use bureaucracy as a bad word, don't know why. Public sector bureaucracies under various political systems, there's always the complaint from those within and those outside who interact with it that it is unwieldy, it is in need of modernization, it is in need of change. I say that to ask, with that being the reality, what is this Jamaican public sector being transformed to? In other words, what is the model, what is the ideal that we will say, here we are at this target, this is now a modern and functioning public sector, go forth and facilitate growth and development in the country?
All right, so if you're talking about a businessman interacting with the bureaucracy, which is a system of government, registration of a business, in parts of the world, they'll tell you they can sit at their desk and they can register a company. Obviously, that's the top. That's where you would really want to get to.
Yes.
But a worst case scenario is that people must not have to jump through hoops to register a business in Jamaica. So the Companies Office has been re-engineering its processes to make that much easier. What we're talking about is having a situation where somebody's sitting somewhere else in the world and looking for somewhere to invest because they have billions of dollars. And when they look at the process that they have to go through to register an entity in Jamaica, they say, yes, that's the place I want to go. So believability in our processes is what we want. That's what we're looking for. We want, from the ordinary citizen's point of view, we want to have a system where when the property tax notices go out, people don't feel that they want to pay, but they are being hindered in their efforts to pay. We want people to feel like, okay, this is easy to do. I can stop at the tax office on my way to work, and in 15 minutes I am out of there having paid my taxes and feel relieved that I have lived up to my commitment.
Yes.
We want the NIS pensioners to feel comfortable that that fortnightly payment that they are entitled to and look forward to, and many of them have no other source of income during their twilight year. They know that it is going to be in their bank account, and they don't have to walk from point A to point B. Some of them really can't make it. Mm-hmm. And some of them having to pay transportation costs that is almost all of the little pension. That's a kind of public service that I think, we really want. And of course, the internal public is the people who want to deliver the service. Mm-hmm. So public sector workers, we want to be in a position that public sector workers feel, simply put, they want to get up and go to work in the mornings.
Yes.
We don't want people who are wondering, should I not go this morning?
Yes.
You want people who want to jump out of bed. And it's possible, George. It's possible because it happens elsewhere. Mm-hmm. When you look at Switzerland, their public sector, they say that it is said that that's the number one.
Yes.
We want, when all of these rating agencies and these ranking agencies look at us, we want people to just feel, you see, like how we have gotten almost comfortable with passing the IMF test, that it is no longer news.
Yes.
That's where we want to take service delivery in the public sector, where it becomes part of our DNA, as they say, and people feel comfortable to walk into our shops.
Excellent. Well, you've heard articulated there what is the aim of public sector transformation, and as the government pursues public sector transformation for growth and development, it becomes clear what the ideals are and where Jamaica ought to be if it continues apace with the reforms that are being implemented. That's it for Let's Talk Finance this week. I'll be back next week. Wayne Jones will be with me. We'll talk about another aspect of this very, very important movement, public sector transformation for growth and development.
That was Let's Talk Finance, brought to you by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service.